So the strategic content goal number one I want to unpack and share for you is for your content to first and foremost connect with people, emotionally connect with people, because it's through those emotional connections that's what is going to help you build the community or the audience. And when you build that community or audience, this is what's going to help you increase traffic to your website to generate leads from said digital community. And as I've shared over the past few years, one of the most valuable assets a financial brand can have in this digital economy is a digital audience they own. And the reason for that is when a financial brand owns a digital audience or a digital community, no longer do they have to worry about leasing or buying access to the audiences of Facebook, of YouTube, of Twitter, of LinkedIn. And even more so, and this is some really big future thinking here, but if a financial brand's digital community or audience they own becomes large enough, then they have the opportunity to align with others who can co-create value for said community. So let's move on to strategic content goal number two. And this is for you to use the content that you produce and promote to cultivate and nurture relationships with those leads coming in from your website to build trust over time with them, as content is exactly how you build trust in today's digital world. That's why content will continue to be the fuel of the digital growth engine. Think of content like making deposits in a consumer's trust fund that sits between their ears. It can take weeks, it can take months, it can take years to build up enough deposits in a consumer's trust fund for them to build up their own courage to commit to take action with your financial brand and click the apply button. And that leads us to strategic content goal number three. The content you produce and promote must ultimately help to convert leads into loans and deposits, because this is how you prove the value your financial brand's content is creating, both for your niche audience as well as for your own financial brand. So in summary, coming back to Lauren's question on how can content marketing help community institutions compete with the big banks, it's most important here to prioritize each one of those three content goals, because you're probably not going to have the capability and capacity to come out of the gate addressing every single one of those goals. Once again, creating content to connect with people. Number two, using content to nurture relationships, to cultivate relationships. And then number three, using content to convert those leads into loans and deposits. Now, the goals or the goal that you will focus on must be framed around your financial brand's unique situation. And the way you start to prioritize and frame these three goals around your financial brand's unique situation is taking a step back and going all in, asking, listening, and learning about the future, the people within your financial brand's niche community or communities that they want to create for themselves. Because finally, from here, you can now determine the types of content that you should commit to focus on producing and promoting. And this is in fact where most financial brands get content wrong. They simply start producing content without having a clear plan or a strategy to guide them along the way. And so what happens is they end up feeling confused about the types of content that they should produce, as they wonder, well, should we be producing blog articles, or should we be posting on social media? Do we need to start a podcast, or should we be focused on videos? Well, all of this is just what I call tactical checklist items, and those types of content lists could go on and on and on. So what happens next is, well, they say, you know what, we're going to pick this random piece of content to focus on. And they do so without having a tremendous amount of clarity, and they just start producing. And it doesn't matter what the content type is, but they quickly start to feel overwhelmed. And as they're producing, yes, they're producing a lot of content, but they grow frustrated when their content efforts fail to create any value. which is often because they lack focus around what this whole episode has been about, which is focusing content around creating value for a niche community. And this frustration is further amplified because, yes, while they're producing content, they just don't have any clear content promotion systems in place. So it's like the old adage, if you produce a piece of content, does it create any value? If a tree falls in the woods, does anyone hear it? Now, the good news for you is that, like Lauren, you can now avoid some of the most common content chaos traps because you can now commit to start your content marketing efforts to compete with the big banks by committing to go all in on content, by asking, by listening, by learning. And by going all in, you will gain clarity about your niche community's biggest questions, their concerns, the challenges, the roadblocks that they need to eliminate to get to their hopes, to get to their dreams, to ultimately create their bigger, better, brighter future.